Okay, suppose that you want to make a portfolio consist of two stocks, stock A and stock B. Suppose you want to invest 50% on stock A and 50% on stock B. It means half of your investment on stock A, half on stock B. Here you can see your prediction about the performance of these two stocks, let's say next year. If the economy is very good, then for stock A, you can make 30%. Stock A return will be 30%, and stock B, it will be minus 5%, means loss, 5% loss. If the economy is not good, recession, then stock A won't perform well, minus 10% return, and stock B, the return will be 25%. And the chance to have a good economy is 40%, and the chance to have a very bad economy is 60%. So this is our prediction about next year. So these two columns are return of the stock, return on the stocks, stock A return, stock B returns based on different scenarios. This is the chance, this column is the chance to have any of these two scenarios. So the portfolio consists of these two stocks, and let's assume that this is the portfolio. Let's assume that is 50% will be invested on stock A, 50% on stock B. It can be 40, 60, 20, 80, so up to you. But here the assumption is half-half. You already know how to compute the expected return and standard deviation for each of these stocks, right? For example, for stock A, if you want to compute the expected return on stock A, you just multiply this by this, then plus this by this, done. Or for stock B, if you want to compute expected return, chance multiplied by this plus chance multiplied by this, and this is the expected return. But for portfolio, I want to show you the portfolio now, how to compute the expected return on a portfolio. For portfolio, first you need to compute the expected return if the economy is good. So I assume that 50%, I assume that 50% of the portfolio consists of stock A and 50% will be from stock B. Now, what will be the expected return of the portfolio if the economy is good? So 50% will be stock A, 50% will, the return of 50% of your portfolio will be 30%, and 50% of your portfolio, the return will be minus 5%. This is the weight of A and B. 50%, because I say 50%, 50%, means 50% of the portfolio will return 30%, and 50% of the portfolio will return, will have a loss of 5%. Then for the recession, 50% is the chance, is the weight for A, for stock A in the portfolio. So 50% will have loss plus 50%, 25% profit. Okay, so just to make it easier to understand, so the whole portfolio, I assume that A and B each will be 50%. So for the boom, means for the good economy, A will return 30%, and B's return will be, actually B will have a loss of 5%. So now what is the average? 50%, 30% return, 50%, 5% loss. So this is the reason we write the formula like this. 50%, 30% return. It means this is the weight. This 50% is the weight. How much of the portfolio is A, and then how much is the return. So basically we just multiply the weight of A by this, by the return of A, plus weight of B by the return of B. And this is the expected return. So if you compute I can write it here. For A, it will be, for boom economy will be 12.5%, and for recession will be, so I already computed it. 7.5%. Now, we want to compute the expected return of the portfolio. So you just ignore what you have here. You ignore this and just look at the portfolio column, right? It means now you have the chance for each of the states and the return for each of them. So it means do the same thing we did already for single stock now on the portfolio column. So what will be the expected return of the portfolio? Like what you already saw in the previous examples. 40% is the chance to get 12.5% plus 60% is the chance to get 7.5% return. This means that 9.5% is the expected return on the portfolio. What about the variance? For the variance, the same method I showed you already for single stock can be applied here as well. The weight multiply 40% is the chance by now the distance between 12.5% minus the mean, the average, the mean. So the distance between each one and the mean, and power of 2 because we don't want to have a negative sign because this is a distance. Then plus the chance of having a recession multiplied by 7.5% minus the mean, power of 2. And if you do the calculation, it will be 6%. It will be 6. Now, what will be the standard deviation? Standard deviation is square root of variance. So square root of 6 give you 2.45%. So the risk that you are taking is 2.45% for this portfolio, and the expected return will be 9.5%. So to compute the expected return and variance or standard deviation of a portfolio, first you need to compute the portfolio return for each of these scenarios, these states, and then you will ignore the single stocks and just work on this new column that you created, the new column of portfolio. So it's like a single stock, but we named it portfolio. And then you do the same calculation that you already saw for expected return and standard deviation.